after, and on broadcast it will forever exist. And just so you know, Jared and I actually have a video feed, so there'll be like a video attached to it. And Jared, when you edit this, please edit this first part out, obviously.
Yes, of course. All right, I think we're ready to go. So, hello and welcome to the discussion today. We're streaming across Spaces and YouTube. I think we're leaving a Twitter broadcast today. We're going to continue experimenting with our different formats in order to bring everyone listening the most engaging content that we can. Our objective with this space is to push the blockchain space forward. If you'd like to be a part of this journey, start by following us on Twitter. And today we will be discussing all things ZK EVM with Johan from Polygon. Polygon Labs are the creator of a leading block. Sorry, let's start that over. Polygon Labs are the creator of a leading chain in the ecosystem with close to 1 million TVL and over 400,000 active users in the last 24 hours. Anyway, welcome, Johan.
Hey, welcome.
Thank you for having me here.
So let's get started with, I know that there was an announcement today about Polygon 2.0. Perhaps that would be like a natural place to begin. Would you be able to give us like a quick overview of what this entails?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, the Polygon journey or the Polygon POS journey, in fact, started in 2020, and we started off with the POS chain, which is a hybrid plasma proof of stakes chain. And I mean, we were well aware of the limitations, but in Polygon, we are more concerned about practicality and usability. So, at that moment of time, people needed, a very low execution side chain, and only the XDAI chain was there. So, in 2020, Polygon POS was like a lot more, I mean, much cheaper than the XDAI chain, and it just made a lot of sense. But our ultimate objective was pure L2s and cheaper and safer ways to scale Ethereum. So, 2021, we acquired the Hermes team, which is the team behind Polygon's.
I'm not sure if you cut out there.
Hey, Johan, I also cannot hear you.
See him speaking, but I don't hear him.
I don't see anyone speaking. I see that his mic is on, but I don't see anyone talking.
I think he might have disconnected. Just wait a minute for him to come back. I guess we'll just wait a few minutes, and if he doesn't come back, then probably close it down. Johan, are you back? I just sent you a speaker roll. Just waiting on Johan to re-accept the speaking invitation. There you go.
I heard something for a second. Now it's blank again. That I don't see anyone speaking. Jared, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing?
I don't see him speaking, but I got him back into the speaker role, so just waiting to see if he's back
I'm
on.
here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, Twitter Space is not always the most reliable platform, unfortunately.
Yeah. So I think we were speaking about Polygon 2.2.
Correct. Yeah, you were telling us a little bit of the sort of like the backstory of the team, and you were about to launch into to why this is an important step forward.
Yeah. So I mean, in short, the main reason for 2.2 is, we want to be able to scale infinite chains technically, and for that, the most important aspect of that is to ensure that the validators have incentive to secure the various networks that are going to come in place under the Polygon umbrella. So we had to revise the tokenomics and change it up a bit. I would suggest everyone to have a look at the white paper. So Ethereum, a big aspect of Ethereum is that it has infinite supply to, in order to meet the demand and also help new people to join the consensus and adequately reward them. So as a result, we have also increased the total supply uh, with an inflation of 1% per year when we reach the current max supply, which is 10 billion.
Okay. I I think we'll move to the ZK EVM, which is the main topic for today. So Polygon initially launched the Polygon proof of stake chain, and more recently launched the Polygon ZK EVM rollup. And there's also the Polygon Maiden rollup that is on the horizon. So would you be able to share with us like the overall vision for how these three products work together and coexist?
Yeah, for sure. So, our our business model is to provide people with a scaling suite, and depending on their product, they can decide whichever chain they want to use. So, uh, a lot of people would think that zkAVM is actually cannibalizing POS, or once Maiden launches, it might take a lot of business from zkAVM, but it is not the case. And maybe I can explain it with a simple example. If there is a game that does not require a lot of security because it doesn't hold too much of users' funds, and all it needs is high gas, then it makes sense for them to launch on Polygon POS, which is actually going to upgrade to a Validium chain in December this year. So it makes a lot of sense for them to just choose Polygon POS instead of zkAVM. But if it is a DeFi chain, if it is a DeFi protocol that is going to store a lot of people's money, and it requires a lot of security, it's best for them to leverage Polygon zkAVM because it is, a pure layer two with data finality and data storage is on Ethereum, unlike Validium chains. So, it is completely dependent on the app, and we just want to provide them with all the solutions possible. So, if not POS, it'll be zkAVM. If not zkAVM, it'll be Maiden. So, we have something for everyone who wants to build on Web3.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for that intro. So, to the more technical aspects of the ZKVM, would you be able to give us a quick introduction of what's knowledge proofs and how this applies and relates to blockchains?
Yeah, for sure. So, one of the core aspects of blockchain is, uh, especially Ethereum culture is, a lot of privacy and anonymity. Uh, and maybe I can explain this with, a simpler answer. So let's assume you are writing an exam, a math exam, and that you are a teacher that is correcting the answer scripts of 100 students. You have an answer key that gives you the answer to every question. So when you're doing multiple, when you're correcting multiple sheets, all you need to check is if the final answer is correct. So basically, what ZK rollups does similarly is, let's assume you need to prove that you are above 18 to enter a particular application or to do something. So, whether you are 25 or 50, you can just prove you are above 18. Basically, just provide enough information so that the final party that is actually, doing the check knows that this is correct. So, ZK proofs on Polygon zkAVM, achieve this through complex polynomial equations, which is done off chain, and then the transaction batching is done off chain, and this Merkle proof is published on Ethereum. So they just have to look at the Merkle proof, and they don't really have to verify the state of the L2 because numbers don't lie, and this is a mathematical proof. So this is basically how zero knowledge proofs work. And Polygon POS is also becoming a Validium, and what a Validium is a ZK rollup basically with off-chain storage of data. zkEVM will store data on Ethereum, and Polygon POS will store call data on a private network which is secured by the validators. That is like the main difference, and the two types of zk rollups as of now.
Okay, thank you. How early would you say that we are in the ZK EVM story? Could you sort of give us a sense of like at the stage at which we are, and maybe a little bit like the future vision for this rollout?
Yeah, for sure. So I think all, at least public building of zk EVMs started about 1 year ago, and there are like a lot of people building. There's not just us. You have a lot of other great teams like Scroll, ZK Sync, and several others building. But as of now, we are the first and the only you know Ethereum equivalent zero knowledge rollup chain, because we have essentially translated all the EVM op code, so people can just copy paste their current contracts and it will work on zkEVM, which is not the case with others. I don't want to take names, but you can't. It's not as simple as just deploying the app and it works on the other zero knowledge chains. So that's how early we are, because there is just one working, not working, but 100% Ethereum equivalent chain right now.
What would you say have been the main successes and the main challenges encountered so far?
So the main, maybe I can start with the main successes. So, we launched in March 2023, which was the same time as, it was just after the Arbitrum airdrop. And we had like a lot of other ZK chains also coming. And, airdrop farming is pretty common. So, you know, and at that time, our V2 tokenomics were in production and not yet finalized. So, we didn't have too much incentives or money, I would say, to lure builders to come in. And despite that, we had like great traction purely because of the builder experience and the tech. And like a great example of that is PancakeSwap, which is like the biggest DEX after Uniswap. They chose zkEVM as their first and only layer 2 as of now, just because of the builder experience. Like I said, since we are 100% Ethereum equivalent, they could just port their contracts from BSC, and it works 1:1. So, the fact that they chose our chain just because of the tech is like a great and like a very good sign, as we are doing like a lot of things correct tech wise, and now with the revised tokenomics we have like a big competitive advantage also with the other chains. And PancakeSwap is just one example. We also have like Balancer, who launched on zkEVM as the first zk chain, and several more people are launching on zkEVM first just because of the dev experience. So those, I would say, are like the biggest wins and validations that we did do something correct.
Cool. And how would you say that the Polygon ZK EVM compares to other layer 2 scaling solutions?
So, in terms of like the execution environment for a user, there's not too much of a difference, because optimistic rollups and zk rollups are layer 2s. But the biggest advantage we have is, you know if if you want to withdraw money from an optimistic rollup using their bridge, assume you have like a lot of money and the third party bridges cannot support your size. there is a 7-day challenge period, because it is a fraud proof and not a validity proof. So, once the withdraw transaction is initiated, you have to wait for 7 days in case somebody submits a fraud proof, just to ensure that, just so that the contract holding your funds on Ethereum knows that the state of the L2 is correct. But on ZK EVM, withdrawal of the asset to mainnet takes only 30 minutes most of the times, because there is a mathematical proof immediately on mainnet that verifies the state of the L2. So it's much easier to move your assets in and out of ZK EVM, which is a pretty big selling point if you ask me, because if someone is moving money to a layer 2, uh, it makes them a lot more comfortable if they know that they can just go back to Ethereum very quickly. So the time value of money is also not lost.
Right.
So, from a
You,
technical point of view, I would say only that is there. Otherwise, all the current optimistic rollups are also Ethereum equivalent, just like us. So there is not much difference from an execution environment.
all right. Do you think that presents any kind of security issues, or if they're all pretty much the same, it's kind of doesn't really matter that much?
I mean, they are the consensus, or the state or the truth of the L2 is protected by different mechanisms. Uh, I mean, both have their pros and cons. So, it is up to the user and the builder to decide which one works for them based on their risk profile. Both optimistic rollups and ZK rollups are like extremely safe, but at the end of the day, it's like totally up to the user where they want to put their money.
Okay. And how do you ensure the decentralization on the ZK EVM?
Yeah, that's a good question, and that is exactly where we are heading with Polygon 2.0. So initially, if you look at any Ethereum L2, they all start out with a centralized sequencer that is usually run by the foundation or a trusted third party. So, at the moment, we are, the foundation itself is running the sequencer, and the logic for batching transactions and everything is public. So, at the moment, there is no timeline as to when exactly we will open up sequencing of transactions on ZKVM to, so multiple sequencers can take part and, earn fees for sequencing transactions and pushing them on Ethereum, but it is like in the roadmap of 2.0.
Okay.
Yeah, I can go next. So you've talked a little bit about like the different projects that you were happy to on board. I don't know if you could speak to um, that you're planning to on board that haven't been announced yet, like that bench of projects, and maybe you can also at the same time speak to, are there other types of projects that you'd like to see deploy on chain that you haven't been able to sign up yet, or that you think there's like in the sort of like the DeFi ecosystem? And we could also talk about gaming and NFTs also, if you would like to.
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, like I mentioned earlier, Polygon ZKVM, just because of its security, it mainly caters to storing and securing large amounts of money. So DeFi just makes sense for ZKVM, and that's what we're focusing on primarily. Like, most of our focus is on DeFi specifically for ZKVM, and the narrative that we want to portray for ZKVM is like, it is the place for people with innovative ideas and like novel protocols and primitives to not only build their MVPs, but to also, leverage our security, our branding, and our network effects to, build out a great DeFi ecosystem. So, the amount of inbounds that we've been getting are like quite amazing and very satisfactory. We've been speaking to like a lot of primitives, I would say, you know, different stable coins with like totally different mechanisms that I haven't seen in the last 2 years. We have like new lending.
Oh, I think you might have cut out again. Johan, are you there? I'm gonna have a few cuts to do after this one. Are you back, Johan? I'll try and send him
Yeah,
another invite. Okay. Do you want to just start over from probably like the middle
Oh,
of what you were saying?
yeah, yeah, I didn't realize I dropped off. Sorry. Yeah, so, we don't really look for any specific types of protocols, but, since ZKVM is relatively new and we don't have too much TVL and, it's sort of a clean slate, a lot of people are experimenting. For example, we hope to see like the new GMX or the new Olympus DAO or, such primitives will only come, at times where the opportunity cost of experimenting is low and there is not too much competition for them. So, there is like a huge inflow of protocols with novel mechanisms that are building on ZKVM and should be live in the next 1 or 2 months. And also existing protocols that have built out their V1s and other layer ones, but they are too late to move to optimistic rollups and it's quite crowded. So, they are picking us over other ZK chains just because of the ease of development because we are 100% equivalent. So it's very easy for them to build and we also have all the toolings that are available on Ethereum. So from a dev point of view, it's been like pretty easy for us to, work with a lot of people and convince people to, choose ZK EVM to build their protocols.
And Johan, are there use cases that would not be possible on other rollups? Like you talked a little bit about the settlement time, and there may be other issues at play here. So just curious if you can comment on that, and also if you have any opinions in terms of like the other sort of sectors like NFTs or gaming. Is this something that, yeah, how has that sort of played out? I think you're more specialized in DeFi, if I understand correctly, but maybe you can quickly comment on those.
Yeah, so I would say some like a big advantage that ZK specifically has over the optimistic roll-up chains is the ease of arbitrage. And I can give you an example. So let's assume the price of ETH on mainnet is $2,000 and it's 1,998 on zkAVM, Optimism, and Arbitrum at the same time. So, optimistic rollups take about 7 days to bridge or to exit liquidity to Ethereum. So, for any arbitrage to happen, for someone to buy ETH, cheap ETH on an L2, send it to L1, and then make a profit. The optimistic rollups are 100% dependent on the liquidity of third-party bridges like Stargate or other protocols, which also charge a transaction fee on top because you are using other people's liquidity. Uh, and it takes about the same time as bridging from zkAVM to Ethereum via the native bridge, which does not charge. You can bridge 1:1 and any size. So you're not dependent, based on the size of liquidity on the other end. So arbitrage and the market pricing, it's a lot cheaper to be very efficient on zkAVM compared to optimistic rollups. So, they will never have the edge over zk chains in this regard.
Okay. Jared, do you want to move to the privacy questions?
Yeah, well, it was more of just like sort of an overview. Because coming from myself who's been in crypto for like a while, when I think of the term ZK or zero knowledge proofs, things like chains like Monero or like Zcash and things with like totally private transactions and chains. This is kind of what comes to mind when you hear about ZK. So I'm just kind of wondering if you can explain how you're still using the technology, but you're not kind of going in the same direction as like a totally private chain. And also just curious, does being on a ZK chain offer anybody like a sort of increased level of security, or it's just pretty much the same thing as like any other L2?
So, ZK definitely offers an increased amount of security because all the proofs are, mathematically proven, and the only thing that cannot lie in this world is a number. And by zero knowledge proofs, maybe I can tell. I think this explanation will help people understand. So, ZK doesn't mean privacy, it just means the lack of knowledge of the transaction or the state of the L2 by Ethereum L1. So let's assume that you are only focused on the answer. It doesn't matter how the answer was derived. I mean, as long as you know that the answer to the question is 4, uh, and you get the answer as 4 from the chain rolling up, you don't really have to, care about how 4 was derived. You don't need to know the steps since, 4 on Ethereum is matching with the output which came from zkAVM, which is also 4. So, the lack of knowledge of the current state of Polygon zkAVM by the Ethereum validator on L1 is the reason that it's called zero knowledge. And why they need zero knowledge? Because it is mathematically proven using complex polynomial functions. So I mean, it's not a private chain. If you can find out everything that someone has done. It's exactly like using any EVM chain.
Okay, I think that covers most of our questions. This was sort of meant like to be an intro, not a super deep dive into the technicalities of zero knowledge proofs. I think that's something that we'd want to do in the future. Super interesting. I mean, I think as far as I understand, this is like the first sort of like large scale deployment of ZK Tech as an L2, which I think is going to really challenge a lot of other chains. if it works, right? So that was always the question: is this actually possible? And it seems to be. So congratulations to Polygon for pulling this off. I see that Rhett is in the audience, and there's a few other people. I don't know if anyone has any questions, please put up your hand. Otherwise, we're going to close this down soon. But I would give the last word to Johan. Are there any future plans or goals for the Polygon ZK EVM or any other Polygon products that you'd like to sort of quickly cover before we close out?
I mean, our main objective is to become, the de facto scaling solution of choice, and also for people to build and choose Polygon because of like the network effects and the security that we are able to bring their applications. So, I mean, that is our goal, and we really hope that the protocols and teams building on us are able to bring Web3 to more non-Web3 people, and the only way this can be done is in improving the user experience through account abstraction or whatever that may be.
Sounds good. Johan, thank you very much for sharing your thoughts and your perspectives. At least to me, this is a thoroughly interesting technology and just a really great topic overall. Yeah, so thank you.
Really quickly, I think we got a request, but I might have missed it. Give me 1 second. Welcome, Rhett, to the panel.
Hey, thanks. Been really enjoying the spaces. I don't have a ton of questions, but I'm a huge fan of what you guys are doing at Polygon, and especially the ZK AVM, but converting the POS chain to Validium is super smart. Excited for that too. And I feel like Validiums are really underappreciated for kind of lower stakes stuff. So I think there's going to be some exciting things there. Can you remind me, so you were talking a little bit about ZK proofs can be used for different things. Obviously, in this case, it's being used for scaling in ZK VM, not privacy. But you are working on a privacy-focused rollup as well, right? Is that Maiden?
No, that was actually Polygon Nightfall that we were working with Ernst & Young with.
Awesome. Yeah. So I think that's really exciting. I think to one of the comments earlier, the scaling aspect of rollups is really awesome, but if you can also at the same time bring a little bit of privacy focused on that, I think there's a great use case there. And I personally think it's super smart of the Polygon team to kind of lean into Ethereum as a settlement layer, and then but also build different scaling solutions with different trade-offs. So I'm actually the founder of a lending protocol currently on mainnet, but we're actually planning to launch to the ZK EVM relatively soon. So yeah, big fan of what you guys are doing.
Yeah, I mean that's great to hear, and hoping to see you soon on ZK EVM.
Cool. Thanks for the contribution. I also think it would actually be pretty cool to see some privacy-oriented solutions come to, some different chains of the L2 space. So that's something I'm definitely super interested in.
Do you know how soon Nightfall, the privacy rollup, will be?
I think Nightfall, unfortunately, is put on hold for the near future. So I'm not really sure when. So as of now, it is on pause.
Okay. Good to know. All right. Well, thank you, Johan, for coming on and sharing your thoughts. Thanks, Rhett, for coming up and asking a question. I think this has been a pretty interesting topic, and we'd also like to just quickly ask anybody who's listening to leave us a like on this space or on one of our comments about this space if you enjoyed the content, and follow us on Twitter. And thanks for coming and thanks for listening.
Yeah,
Bye, everyone.
thanks everyone.
Right. Thank you for having me, guys. Bye.